Absolutely won't be able to believe a cop catfishes a teen and then kills her family. This is a the think tactical one here that is gonna be hard to wrap your mind around. But you better be watching your kids. We'll get into it after this. Hey, I'm Black Dragon, and welcome to Think Tactical, thinktacticalnews.com. Check us out as we talk about all the kinds of things that will help you keep your children safe. Look here, man, your family's safe, prepper news, all this, that, and the other. We're all that for you. Check this out. This is some of the most egregious sort of thing you've ever seen before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this here for you and then come back on the other side of it. This here is depraved, man. Absolutely depraved.
The glow of candles lights the darkness on Price Court. The Winnick family home boarded up after the fire set Friday. Investigators found the murdered family inside: 69-year-old Mark Winnick, his 65-year-old wife Sherry, and their 38-year-old daughter Brooke. All three lived at the home. Riverside police say the family was killed before the house was set on fire late Friday morning. The suspect, now identified as 28-year-old Austin Edwards, a former Washington County, Virginia sheriff's employee, left with another teenage relative, police say. The young victim had been catfished by Edwards, according to Riverside police. He developed an online relationship with his victim and collected personal information, then traveled from Virginia to Riverside. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office confirms the teen is now safe after a pursuit Friday afternoon more than 150 miles away near the town of Kelso. Deputies had tracked the red Kia Edwards was driving. Deputies shot and killed Edwards after they say he fired at them several times, even striking a SWAT vehicle.
I just want everybody to know how loving they were. They don't deserve this.
Saturday, neighbors remembered the Winnick family as loving and supportive. They organized this vigil to show the Winnick's other daughter support through this horrific loss.
To make sure that they have peace as they're going through this process of heartbreak and of a loss of not just one person, but three.
The family says Mark Winnick was a coach at nearby Arlington High School, a title he held for years. Several players and fellow coaches showed up at the vigil Saturday. What's become clear is the loss this community is suffering. They say the Winnick family legacy will live on to outshine the darkness that ended their lives.
And this is just the most egregious stuff you've ever seen in your life. And it bears, we got to kind of go through this a little bit and talk about it to figure out what's going on. A lot of grandparents and stuff are raising kids now. For whatever reason, it's just things are coming out like they're coming out. And you might not understand everything that's going on, but the computer system is you can think of it as a black hole into your home. It is not, there are two things that are not friends for your kids. And it used to be a laptop computer or a desktop computer at the house, but now it has become even smaller and harder to predict, harder to track. It's in it comes in the guise of one of these iPads or one of these cell phones, iPhones, cell phones, Samsungs. It's no longer the big footprint that you might be used to. It's actually these little handheld devices, and these handheld devices and smaller, they even have watches now, gizmo watches and things like that that these devices are where predators and unsavory characters are finding their way straight past your security, straight past your ring cam, straight past your gated neighborhood, straight past the neighborhood watch, straight past all the locks on your doors, straight past the guard dog in the driveway, straight past your gated home and security systems, straight past your front door, straight past your living room, up your stairs, straight past your doors, all the way down the hall into your child's bedroom, where many of them are trusted alone with one of these damn devices. And if that's you, you're a fool. You're crazy. And if you're a grandparent raising kids or whatever, you cannot afford to be clueless. You can't afford that. Because if you are, something like this may happen to you. You have to know, and then, so we're thinking tactical now. You have to know what's going on in these kids' minds and what they're doing on these telephones and personal handheld devices. This kind of stuff can come through the Xbox. So what are we talking about? This guy, this idiot, this cop, a police officer, pretended to be a 17-year-old. He had an online relationship with this girl of some kind, where the authorities say that he groomed her. Now, grooming is a way of that pedophiles and predators use to get into the good graces of children. Let me pull up a definition here for you to see the proper definition of grooming. It is of course, it's the practice of brushing and cleaning your hair, but that most of us might think of grooming as brushing and cleaning the coat of a horse or a dog or another animal or something like that. Regular grooming is but there's another term for grooming. This is the number 2 definition here. The action by a pedophile of preparing a child for a meeting, especially via an internet chat room, with the intention of committing a sexual offense against that child. The action by a pedophile, okay, a child predator, someone who is looking to sexually abuse or manipulate or harm your child. Grooming is that action of preparing that child for a meeting. Because most of your children don't meet strangers. So there's a process of grooming, especially via the internet or a chat room, with the intention of committing a sexual offense. Okay? It's understand that. And it will come down here. Know the warning signs of grooming. Let's come down here. And we'll look at this for a minute. It's victim selection, getting access and isolating the victim, trust development, and keeping secrets. Those secrets are to be kept against you. Desensitization to touch and discussion of sexual topics. An attempt by the abuser to make their behavior seem natural. Online grooming involves adults creating fake profiles and posing as children or teenagers in order to befriend someone and gain their trust. This is also dirty and illicit. This may be the first step towards sexual abuse or online stalking or harassment. You can learn more from internetmatters.org about how grooming occurs and how you can make a minor in your life safer from it. You can also find more about how to recognize more warning signs of online grooming. In order to befriend these people, to befriend your children, these people will use grooming to do so. One tool common to those who sexually abuse kids is grooming. It's a tool. Manipulative behaviors that the abuser uses to gain access to a potential victim. It's manipulative. It's dirty. It's underhanded. It's nasty. And it is what has happened in this case. Manipulative behaviors that the abuser uses to gain access to a potential victim, coerce them to agree to the abuse, coerce them to agree to the abuse, and reduce the risk of being caught. While these tactics are used more often against younger kids, teens and vulnerable adults are also at risk. All right? Grooming can take place online or in person. It's usually employed by a family member or someone else in the victim's circle of trust, such as a coach, teacher, youth group leader, or others who are naturally have some interaction with the victim, such as posing as a friend and becoming friendly with that victim and gaining that victim's trust. This is what groomers do. All right. So as we go back and we look at this story, it seems that this police officer used one of the tactics, and I told you one of the tactics is a fake profile. And the fake profile, all right, is called catfishing. Catfishing is using a profile of something or someone that you're not. That's a catfishing profile. You feel me? So they use these manipulative, dirty, deceitful, nasty ploys to come and rape and molest and even murder your children. These people are sick. This Los Angeles Times article says the 28-year-old Virginia cop, and you know something, I have a picture of this creep right here. He posed as a 17-year-old. As a cop, he doesn't. I guess he looked 17. If you really looked, I don't know if he could have got past my radar, but I'm sure he had to be pretty damn good at it for the parents or the grandparents not to realize. But this guy, he put it together. He posed as this kid. So the 28-year-old Virginia cop who killed 3 of her family members ultimately of a Riverside teenager had posed online as a teen to groom the 15-year-old girl, the Riverside Police Department said Wednesday. His name was Austin Lee Edwards. He portrayed himself as a 17-year-old while communicating online with the girl using grooming methods, they say, which can include tactics such as asking for or offering sexually explicit images, providing gifts, and offering compliments, Riverside Police Chief Larry Gonzalez said at a news conference. Gonzalez said it is still under investigation just how long the digital relationship between Edwards and the teen girl transpired and what platforms they use, Instagram or whatever, to meet or communicate. But investigators believe many of those typical exploitive strategies for sextortion, a new word maybe for you, were used in this case. They believe it was typical kinds of grooming. Just so you know, here's a picture of one of the family members here. Her name was Michelle Blandon. She wipes her tears Wednesday while talking about her slain sister and parents at a news conference. The family, despite being brokenhearted, made up their mind that they would use this to educate families like yours instead of falling just so deeply into their tragedy, they boldly came out and spoke about it at a news conference. This is yet another horrific reminder of the predators existing online who prey on our children, he said. If you've already had this conversation with your kids on how to be safe online and on social media, please have it again. Kids don't retain things as long as they should often. If not, if you haven't had it, start it now to better protect them. And if you're just totally clueless, get educated. Think tactical. You've got your children's lives and your own lives at risk. Police believe Edwards, who was a newly sworn in law enforcement officer in a rural Southwest Virginia community, connected with the teen girl online by catfishing. And as I told you earlier, the article explains catfishing as pretending to be someone you're not. Then he drove across the country from Virginia to her home in Riverside, California. He must have looked long and hard to find the proper victim that he could victimize. Absolutely sickening beyond compare. So he drove all the way over to Virginia, or from Virginia to Riverside, where he killed this child's mother and grandparents and set fire to their home, presumably, I would think, to cover his tracks, before driving off with the girl. Now, I heard that somebody had called when they saw her being put in the car, perhaps not properly or whatever. Somebody had called and alerted the police, which is not in this article, and that might have been how they got onto him. His vehicle was later stopped in San Bernardino County from Riverside, where authorities initially said he was killed in a shootout with police. But the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department announced Wednesday that he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The girl was not harmed and is now in the care of Child Protective Services. The three family members killed were identified as Mark Winnick, 69, and you saw that in the video, a longtime baseball and softball coach at Arlington High School, his wife, Sherry Winnick, 65, a devoted mother and grandmother, and their daughter, Brooke Winnick, 38, a single mother of two teenage girls, including the girl manipulated by Edwards. They all lived together in the Riverside house. The second daughter was not home at the time of the killings, police said. This horrific event started when an inappropriate online romance between a predator and a child, Michelle Baldwin said through tears Wednesday, the only surviving daughter of Mark and Sherry Winnick. He took an oath to protect, yet he failed to do so. Instead, he preyed on the most vulnerable. He started a relationship with this child, and this led to what happened, the murder of three people. This horrific event started with an inappropriate online romance between a predator and a child, someone she thought was her own age. The Virginia officer who showed up at the Winnick's home Friday had completed the police academy earlier this year, according to Virginia law enforcement officials, and had been newly hired as a patrol deputy with the county sheriff's office just 10 days before his rampage in Riverside, California. This is someone that we expected to protect the community, but did not. A family member, and we got a picture here for my listening audience, a family member sitting over against a wall during this police meeting where they talked to the press. It says a family member covers her face as a Riverside Police Chief Larry Gonzalez discusses the killings of Mark, Cherie, and Brooke Winnick at a news conference Wednesday. So while Blandon said that Edwards tried to kidnap her niece. Riverside police officials said they're not yet describing the interaction as an abduction, as they are still combing through physical and digital evidence trying to understand whether she was coerced or threatened to get into his car. So anything could have happened with her mind after she had been manipulated. However, Riverside police spokesman Ryan Railsback said there is no indication the teen girl was involved in the killings or the fire. He said the teen walked to the car with Edwards as the house was already on fire. Oh my God, this is just tragic. In this tragic moment of our family, our grief, we hope some good will come from this, Blandon said. Parents, please know your child's online activity. Ask questions about what they're doing and whom they are talking to. Anybody can say there's someone else. If something like this horrific tragedy can happen in our neighborhood, in our community, it can happen anywhere. Police were first notified of a situation on the Winks family's cul-de-sac Friday morning when neighbors called in about a female who appeared to be distressed while getting into a red Kia. There it is. That's what I had seen. While getting into a red Kia Soul with a male driver. Soon after, calls came in about the fire at Winnick's house. While the firefighters responded, they found 3 bodies in the entryway of the home, and upon pulling them outside, officials quickly ruled their deaths homicide. Riverside Police spokesman Ryan Railsback didn't expound on the cause of death or injuries, but called it a very disturbing crime scene. So this goes on. He burned the people's home. They tracked him down, and he killed himself before he could stand for any of the crimes, the horrible, horrendous, terrible, unscrupulous crimes he committed. But it's important for you to know. This relationship was started under everyone's noses. No one knew. And, you know, you could have a teenager who's not happy about living at home or whatever the case may be. And this grown 28-year-old man, I'll come get you and we can run away together and blah, 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 blah. And you got to be thinking tactical. You got to be thinking tactical. All things that you do. Gotta be one step ahead. There's no trust. If you do trust but verify. That wonderful Russian phrase. Trust but verify. All right, I trust you, but I'm going to still call his parents so I can get to know them. I trust you, but I'm going to verify the story, child. Because if the story is not what it should be, then someone can wind up dead. These devices are so incredible. They have more power than the lunar lander that went to the moon. They have more power than the Army Navy ANYK, we used to call them, the AN Yuck 7, which was a mainframe computer I used as a nuclear weapons specialist aboard submarines to fire nuclear weapons to destroy whole cities. That computer system was powerless compared to the Snapdragon processor in here. This thing can reach the internet. It can call overseas for free. There's a program on here called WhatsApp that is encrypted end to end. The cipher cannot be broken. Terrorists have used it to send messages back and forth that governments can't even process. And your children have this power in their hands. You cannot afford, you can ill afford to be less educated than they are. And you will be. A buddy of mine told me that his kid had been looking at pornography on his phone, on the phone they had for him. His mom said, but I've been through the entire phone. There's no pornography on there. It turns out the kid had gone into the internal programs on the phone and had hidden his folders in normal areas where the phone operating system exists, where people like you and I don't even know how to get to the phone operating system. But there's clear instructions all over the internet telling these kids how to use these things where you cannot understand what it is that they're doing. So you're going to have to look them eye to eye and communicate and understand and develop that. You're going to have to work hard, man. You don't just get to be old if you want to keep them safe. If you don't want some creep showing up and blowing your family away so he can go and have sex with your child and then commit suicide. But it's a sickness. It's a sickness that they have. They have that sickness, and that sickness makes them a danger to you. It is absolutely unbelievable that this monster was able to come into these folks' home and destroy everything. Absolutely unbelievable. But you better believe it. You better be thinking tactical.
Austin Edwards, a former Washington County, Virginia sheriff's employee, left with another teenage relative, police say. The young victim had been catfished by Edwards, according to Riverside Police. He developed an online relationship with his victim and collected personal information, then traveled from Virginia to Riverside. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office confirms the teen is now safe after a pursuit Friday afternoon more than 150 miles away near the town of Kelso. Deputies had tracked the red Kia Edwards was driving. Deputies shot and killed Edwards after they say he fired at them several times, even striking a SWAT vehicle.
I just want everybody to know how loving they were. They don't deserve this.
Saturday, neighbors remembered the Winnick family as loving and supportive. They organized this vigil to show the Winnick's other daughter support through this horrific loss.
To make sure that they have peace as they're going through this process of heartbreak and of a loss of not just one person, but three.
The family says Mark Winnick was a coach at nearby Arlington High School, a title he held for years. Several players and fellow coaches showed up at the vigil Saturday. What's become clear is the loss this community is suffering. They say the Winnick family legacy will live on to outshine the darkness that ended their lives.
Well, friends, I hate to leave you with such bad news, but perhaps you will find a plan by which you can employ to protect your children from these monsters that seem to crawl from underneath the fabric of society, clothed in the skins of protectors, using their vast resources to hunt down your children, even an entire country, an entire United States apart, to come to your peaceful home and destroy everything you've ever had. You better be thinking tactical. I'm Black Dragon, and that's my 2 cents. I'd love to hear your 2 cents in the comments section below. Make sure to check out us at thinktacticalnews.com or our podcast, Think Tactical, wherever you get podcasts. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Keep your guard up, your mind together, keep the peace in your home, be protected, and be thinking tactical. We will see you in a minute when we break out. The first breakout bag we're going to be looking at is...
Let's do yours first.
Yeah, how about you first?